Welcome. Today we talk about perceptual map, a part of marketing strategy topic. Perceptual mapping is used for positioning. It's a very commonly used tool by marketeers, and I believe all marketeers and branding managers should be aware of this tool and how to use it. So let me introduce you to the perceptual map. It's a tool commonly used by marketeers in practice, and it's mainly used for the positioning purposes. You can position a brand, a product, a service. You can position a person if you wanted to. It allows to visually depict consumer perceptions. So it allows us to see how well we or perhaps our competitors are matching with consumer perceptions. So it really allows to understand how close the fit is. It also allows to identify gaps in the market and perhaps spot opportunities that maybe others at the moment can't see, and we can take those opportunities up. And also it allows, as a result, to prioritize some brands or products or services and perhaps position and reposition them. So in planning positioning strategies, marketeers and brand managers would often prepare perceptual maps that show consumer perceptions of their brands or products or services versus competing products on important buying dimensions. So perceptual map, as I said, is to do with positioning, and it will always be in relation to competitors. Now let's look at the practical example and let's apply perceptual map to see how it works. Here is an example of perceptual map to be applied for smartphones. So how does it work? This blank uses the most obvious axis, price versus quality, for simplicity of understanding. Those axes, while it's probably a technical term used for Excel more rather than marketing, these are actually the features, benefits, or attributes. In other words, important factors that consumers consider when making buying decisions. So here we use price versus quality. Other axes are probably more useful in real life, but I will explain in a moment why. However, if we were to produce a perceptual map for smartphones, for the sake of giving you an example, these axes can do. The exact position on the map doesn't matter. What matters is the relative position in regards to competition. So for example here, how can we interpret this chart? Well, if you look at the quality, it looks like most of the smartphones are somehow cluttered in the same area. So kind of like everyone can produce a good quality smartphone. And maybe Apple and Samsung stand out a little bit more in the market. You can also look at the price and you can say, well, the price is also quite similar to actually a lot of smartphone providers, but perhaps Apple and Samsung stand out more than the others in terms of the price because they would be charging a little bit more. So quality is actually a very interesting word, and sometimes I say to my students, it makes me nervous when I see quality because it's so abstract and it's so not clear what exactly this is. Quality may mean so many different things to many different people. Quality for someone using Apple might be the fact that they have a Genius bar. For others it might be battery life, yet for others it might be a particular feature that they have, yet others might think of image as a part of quality. Okay, so you need to spell out what exactly quality is. Also, price. Is it a good one to use? Well, we can think about that as well, because smartphones actually cost quite a lot of money. So you might say, well, if price is really the important kind of factor in here, then wouldn't people choose just simply to buy cheaper phones? For example, Xiaomi can be a lot cheaper than some other phones. So you might think, well, the price is as important, or maybe there are other attributes, benefits, or features that would be more important, such as brand recognition. So here I have a question for you. what do you think is the hardest job in drawing a perceptual map? Please pause me for a moment and consider this. Okay, guys. So here is the answer. The hardest job in drawing perceptual map is identifying those attributes, features, or benefits that would be important for customers. Think about it. How many different factors people consider when buying a smartphone? What is important for you? For marketeers to identify those factors is really challenging task. And usually you would engage in some sort of research, collecting secondary data, primary data if you need, through interviews, surveys, and so forth, in order to understand better about customers, or maybe simply observing customers. So this would be the hardest job, because if you get it wrong, then you kind of like building your positioning on the features, benefits, or attributes that don't really matter for your customers. So that's really the most important job, to get these features right. Now, in the previous slide, we looked at the example of mapping perceptual mapping for smartphones using price and quality. However, there is another problem with using those dimensions, and this is the fact that there is a high correlation between price and quality. In other words, the higher the quality, the higher the price, and vice versa. The lower the quality, the lower the price. So in that way, when you have such high correlation between variables, you don't really have a perceptual map, because they highly correlate. So you might want to think about different features, benefits, or attributes that you may use. How about, for this example, we use something like design. Say we did the research and we found out, whereas consumers tell us directly about this or not, they actually rate design quite highly among all the features when choosing a phone. And let's introduce this feature here, from attractive design to poor or less attractive design. Okay, and you can see that in that case, the brand logos have slightly moved on the perceptual map. They're no longer like as cluttered in the middle, but they are slightly differentiated. For example, Apple and Samsung perhaps stand out a bit more in terms of their design in particular than other brands. And now your job, a little bit more advanced job, would be probably to draw where customers are, where they would like to be. So for example, if you're going after target market that are more image conscious and design is an important thing for them, you might just plot somewhere here like a little bowl or something, or a pie with the customer perceptions, and then you can say, well, okay, these brands match it quite closely. So the exact position on the map doesn't matter. You just want to be probably a little bit away from your competitors, so people see differentiation, people see that you are somehow different, and also you want to be as close to the customers as you can. So we don't put customers here on this map, but you could do that in order to understand better how well you're delivering this. So that was one of the tools that marketeers use, and obviously this tool is not without limitations. You might say, well, using only 2 factors perhaps is a bit limited in understanding consumer perceptions. You might argue that even buying something as simple as chocolate, you might consider more than 2 factors. For example, some would only buy if it's organic or if it's fair trade, and maybe like the shape is important as well, because some are a bit too thick, square or pieces, and it's just not very comfortable to eat and so forth. So this is one of the limitations, is that whether positioning on 2 factors would be enough or not. So that's something to consider. And there will be other limitations as well. How do you get accurate data about attributes, features, or benefits, so you can really understand your customers. Thank you very much for watching. If you like the content, please hit the like button and subscribe to make sure that you always receive updates about my content. Thank you again.